Minecraft has trillions of seeds, however some are much cooler than others. So today, we're going to be looking at some of Minecraft's most mind-blowing seeds, including seeds so rare they've never even been discovered. Now we've all seen a desert temple and a village in Minecraft, but what if we combine the two together to create a temple village? When you first look at this desert temple, you might think nothing is wrong, but when you look at it from this angle, you'll notice a village house perfectly lined in the center of the desert temple. And when we merge them, we get this seed that has a desert village and the first of 4 floating islands. And I forgot to mention, they all rest over a sinkhole. You also get a really nice view of the Badlands biome in the back. I can only imagine what could be built using this seed. The only thing this seed doesn't have is this hollow island. This island is really unique. I've never seen anything like it before, and it's naturally generated, which makes it even cooler. I also like how the water changes from a dark blue to a turquoise color because of the biome changes. But we're just getting into some of the most mind-blowing seeds. You see, desert temples normally don't spawn underground. However, in this seed they do. This desert temple spawned completely underground and also in a lush cave, which gives a really cool scenery. But make sure you're careful because the treasure room generates right next to a cave spider spawn, so there's a good chance that the loot will blow up by the time you get down to it. But what if I told you there was another desert temple that's way cooler? Take a look at this one that was also generated in an underground lush cave, but this time in a lava pool. However, if you manage to get past the lava and get inside the temple, you'll be disappointed to only find out the treasure room is completely cut off by bedrock, which makes the chances of getting the seed 1 in 5 million. But that isn't as rare as this ocean monument seed that generated in the middle of a small pond, but also the shallowest waters it can spawn in, being 25 blocks, which is truly mind-blowing. Now, while we're talking about ocean monuments, we should also take a look at another seed that generated a giant rock in the middle of the ocean. This rock only spawns in 1 jungle tree, so you might have a hard time getting wood off spawn. However, that wasn't the only structure that generated in the middle of the ocean, because this woodland mansion was also generated in the middle of a 100,000 block ocean. This isn't like any other structure though, because it only spawns in dark oak forests. If you thought a woodland mansion in the middle of the ocean was weird, take a look at this one that generated all the way up to world height with a layer of cobblestone below it to hold it up from the ground. That isn't the only structure that got extended all the way up from the ground. This seed also decided to extend this villager house up 150 blocks high. You see, because of the floating island, the game thought let's spawn a village house up here, but wait a second. Half of it is floating, so let's extend it all the way to the ground. When we go inside the house, it sends us to a village island that generated in the middle of the ocean. This village island also has 4 buried treasure chests, which makes the seed all the more rare. This is just a perfect seed for a survival world. These seeds are really cool, but I think it's time to take a look at something a bit more mind-blowing, like this stronghold that spawned inside of a woodland mansion, which when located, you can almost instantly find the end portal. Like, how is this combination even possible? The portal is also perfectly lined in the middle of the hallway. Not only is this seed super rare, but it's also a really cool sight to see. The only problem is when you finish beating the ender dragon, you might just start an unexpected raid at your house. If your house gets totally destroyed, don't worry, because you can just use this seed to build a new one. Just imagine all the things you can build in this naturally generated jungle oasis. This would also be a perfect seed to survive 100 days on. I think it's time to take a look at some more really satisfying seeds you can use to build, like this cliffside seed that was generated with the village on the top and the bottom half of the cliff. Half of this village is in the plains biome, and the other half is in the frozen peaks biome. The combination of these 2 biomes in this village makes for a really satisfying place you can use to enhance your build. But the seeds don't stop there, because this other seed that has a naturally generated dripstone cave along with a really cool entrance is just incredible. This just makes for a perfect seed to build an ancient city on. I can't even imagine what else can be built on this seed. Neither can I imagine what can be built on this seed, using the ocean that was enclosed by the rarest biome in the game, the Badlands biome. This gives you many reasons to build here. There is even an exposed lush cave along the sides of the cliff. When you put everything together, it makes the seed super satisfying. Speaking of satisfying, take a look at this naturally generated sinkhole where at the bottom there is a village, and that village is surrounded by a lava pool. However, I do think we should take a look at another sinkhole seed. Take a look at this one, which is one of the coolest ones to ever exist. It also has multiple nearby structures, from this village floating on water, a mine shaft around the inside, a floating ruined portal, this village house fully covered in water, and many more. There's also a ton of exposed diamond, which allows for a perfect start for your survival world. Now let's take a look at a really cool village seed. When you first run into this village, you don't notice anything until you look at it from this angle. You will notice 5 village houses all perfectly lined with each other. I've truly never seen anything like this before. This has to be one of the coolest village generations I've ever seen. Now moving on to some of the most rare seeds in the the game, like this natural vein of 17 diamonds which has a 0.001% chance of spawning. I can barely even find a vein of 5 diamonds, let alone a 17 vein. The reason why this happened is because a vein of 6 and 11 diamonds spawned right on the chunk border, which makes this natural vein of 17 diamonds really rare. Now if you thought that seed was cool, just wait until you see this one that generated a desert village with only one house. Imagine running over here for supplies to only find out that there is one village house. However, that's not it. What makes the seed truly unique is what lies underneath the village. If you dig straight down from the center, you will find a fully lit ender portal waiting for you at the bottom. There is almost a 0% chance of finding a fully lit ender portal with all 12 eyes. Combining this with the one village house makes the seed insane. You know what's even more insane than this village with one house? This village with no houses. The villagers on the seed seem to be really confused as they don't have any houses to live in. Despite there being no houses, it still has 2 farms and a well. This is just so unlucky that it's actually rare, but it's not as unlucky as this never-ending ravine that repeats itself for thousands and thousands of blocks. Imagine being stuck in a never-ending loop in this ravine. This seed is also just really unlucky. If you go further down the ravine, we'll find an end portal that already has 67% of it working. This makes no sense. You normally need 12 eyes of ender to make a fully working portal, but apparently the rules just don't apply in this seed. Just like how that end portal was partially lit up without 12 eyes of ender, this one was also partially lit up, but this time on the edge of a chunk border. There was originally supposed to be 12 eyes of ender, but because of the chunk border, the game only spawned in 5 eyes and still allowed it to work. However, when we enter the end portal, it teleports us to a zombie village inside the bottom of a massive cave. This massive cave seed also has an exposed spawner right next door. Even though you have access to some really good loot, there's going to be a ton of mobs. It doesn't stop there, because there's also no wood to make tools with when you spawn. This cave seed might be really rare, but it's almost impossible to escape. This seed is just extremely hard to beat considering the conditions and location you spawn in. However, this next seed is the complete opposite. If you ever wanted to beat the speedrun world record, this seed 16x16 spawn chunk has everything you need to get to the end and beat the game. You first spawn in a village where you get the materials needed to trade with this villager, which back in the older versions of Minecraft would trade you eyes of ender. When you get enough eyes, you can mine straight down from the spawn. After that, you can enter the end portal and beat the game for a new speedrun world record. This is all done without ever having to leave the 16x16 spawn chunk. How crazy is that? And the seeds only get better because this lush mountain seed is just insane. This mountain has layers of snow around the edges and a lush cave inside of it, which is just truly mind-blowing. When you turn on some light shaders, it makes the seed look even more insane. At the bottom of the cave, there is an ancient city as well. The lush mountain makes this a perfect seed to build a mountain village on. But wait, this next one is by far the best seed we've seen yet, as this naturally generated lake at the spawn feels like something you would travel to see in real life. The birch tree pathway along the massive lake just makes this look insane. This seed can also generate a sinkhole in the middle of the lake if loaded up on version 1.19.2, and yes, it does have an enclosed mountain range right next door. When you look at them side by side, it looks like you could just take water out of the lake and fill up the mountain range. As this took trillions and trillions of seeds to find, it makes this by far the best and most mind-blowing seed ever found in Minecraft.